Number 7. The eye movement lie detector. You've seen this in TV shows. Someone lies and their eyes dart to the left, or up, or sideways like a suspicious hamster. The hero narrows their gaze and says, "They're lying." Cue dramatic music. This is based on the pseudoscientific idea that where someone looks walking reveals if they're accessing truth, memory, or lies imagination. For example, up and to the left truth, up and to the right liar liar pants on fire. It sounds cool. It's even diagrammed in those shady body language books your uncle swears by. But in reality, it's nonsense. Multiple studies have tested this and found no consistent correlation between eye direction and deception. Human eyes move all over the place for all kinds of reasons. Thinking, remembering, zoning out, trying to remember if you left the oven on. Extra crispy if someone looks up and to the right, maybe they're visualizing a memory. Or maybe they're wondering if you're buying any of this. In fact, professional interrogators and psychologists warn against relying on eye movements to detect lies. It can lead to false accusations and bad conclusions. Not to mention, liars who read those same books will just fake the truthful eye movements anyway. So no, you don't have built-in SIA software in your eyeballs. If you want to catch a lie, you're better off looking for inconsistencies, over-explaining, or the classic, too many details about where they supposedly were at 3:17 p.m., because nothing says, totally innocent, like reciting your Albie with Jep's coordinates. Number 6. The 5 Stages of Grief Formula. Yes, the famous emotional IKEA manual. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Just follow the steps, assemble with a tiny Allen wrench, and boom, you're healed. The 5 Stages of Grief model is one of the most widely cited psychological frameworks in pop culture. It's been parodied in cartoons, quoted in medical dramas, and weaponized in breakup texts. But here's the kicker. It wasn't even originally meant for grieving people. Elizabeth K. Obler-Ross came up with the 5 stages to describe how terminally ill patients react to their own impending death, not how people grieve others. Over time, it got rebranded like a sad, emotional BuzzFeed listicle, and now everyone expects grief to move in a straight, polite little line. But real grief? Oh no, real grief is chaotic, rude, disorganized, and deeply uncooperative. You might bounce from acceptance back to rage, skip over bargaining entirely, and add in bonus stages like weeping into cereal and aggressively deleting photos at 3 a.m. Research shows that people experience grief in a wide variety of ways, and not everyone hits all 5 stages, or any of them. The stages aren't wrong per se, but they're not universal. They're more like a loose playlist than a strict itinerary. So next time someone tells you you're doing grief wrong, because you didn't bargain with the universe, feel free to respond, "Yeah, I skipped that track, wasn't vibing with it." Number 5. The dopamine addiction, panic. Let's be honest, extra crispy. We've all seen the internet yelling about dopamine like it's the villain in a Marvel movie. Social media is hijacking your dopamine. You're addicted to dopamine. Do a 30-day dopamine detox and reset your brain. Okay, deep breath. Dopamine is not some evil pleasure drug ruining your life. It's a neurotransmitter, a messenger, involved in motivation, learning, movement, and yes, reward. But calling it addictive on its own is like blaming your mailman for your Amazon Prime habit. Here's what's actually going on. Dopamine helps your brain notice and pursue things it expects to be rewarding. That includes food, social praise, checking your notifications, and even finishing a to-do list. It's more about wanting than liking. It's the, "Ooh, maybe this will be good" chemical, not the, "Wow, this is amazing" chemical. Also, you can't be addicted to dopamine itself. That would be like saying you're addicted to your heartbeat. It's a normal, essential function. Yes, tech companies exploit dopamine signaling to keep you scrolling, but that's about behavior design, not a literal chemical hijack. And dopamine detoxes, they're based on a fundamental misunderstanding. You can't flush dopamine from your system like bad sushi. It's not a toxin. It's a neurotransmitter. Taking a break from overstimulating stuff can be healthy, but don't act like it's a full-on biological reboot. In summary, extra crispy. Dopamine's not your enemy. It's just your brain's enthusiastic hype man. If you're doom scrolling TikTok for hours, that's not a dopamine addiction. That's you making a series of choices while your brain yells, "This might be fun," every 14 seconds. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. It means a lot to me. Number 4. The goldfish attention span. Lie. You've probably seen the dramatic headlines. Humans now have shorter attention spans than goldfish. Cue the panic, delete your TikTok, and start learning Morse code because clearly civilization is crumbling. Here's the twist. This viral claim is complete nonsense. There is no scientific study proving that humans have an 8-second attention span, and definitely not one that compares it to goldfish. In fact, nobody knows what a goldfish's attention span even is. Whoever started this comparison just picked a random fish and ran with it, probably while holding a fidget spinner. The truth: human attention is complex. You're not locked into a universal 8-second timer like some kind of glitchy NPC. Your focus depends on interest, motivation, context, fatigue, and about a million other factors, including whether or not your phone just pinged with a notification that someone liked your dog photo. Also, let's think about this logically. People binge-watch 10-hour documentaries, spend hours gaming, and can hyper-focus on niche Wikipedia rabbit holes like Victorian-era diseases that sound fake but aren't. That's not goldfish behavior. That's just selective attention. We pay plenty of attention when we care. The real issue isn't that attention spans are shrinking. It's that attention is now under attack. Your brain's in a constant battle between focus and FOMO. Apps are engineered to hijack your attention, like digital magicians waving shiny distractions. So don't blame your brain for goldfish crimes. Blame the attention economy, and if you really want to stay focused, maybe don't read headlines written by fish. Number 3. The body language decoder ring. You've probably been told that 93% of communication is nonverbal. That if someone crosses their arms, they hate you. That if they scratch their nose, they're hiding something. Basically, that you can decode someone's soul based on whether feet are pointed north. Let's put that in the "sounds smart, falls apart" pile. That 93% of communication is nonverbal stat. Totally misused. It came from a small study in the 1960s by Albert Mehrabian, focused on how people interpret emotions when words and tone don't match. It doesn't apply to normal, clear conversation. Yet somehow, it got twisted into a universal truth. As for decoding people like human lie detectors, no, crossing your arms doesn't mean they're defensive. It could mean they're cold, or bored, or that chairs just suck and their spine is filing a complaint. Body language can give clues about emotion, sure, but context is everything. People forget for tons of reasons. Cultural differences play a role, and unless you're Sherlock Holmes with an advanced psychology degree and mind-reading powers, you're probably going to get it wrong. Worst part: these myths get baked into job interviews, dating advice, and police interrogations. Yes, actual police still use this stuff. If someone shifts in their seat, they're nervous. But guess what? Everyone is nervous when being interrogated by a dude in a badge and tie. So unless you're dealing with a robot that defaults to truth pose, stop overanalyzing crossed arms and itchy noses. You're not reading a novel. You're watching a human try to exist awkwardly in public. Number 2. The sugar rush. That doesn't exist. You've seen it at birthday parties. A kid eats 3 cupcakes, a handful of gummy bears, and suddenly they're bouncing off the walls like cartoon character possessed by a hummingbird. Oh no, the parent's grown. It's the sugar rush. Except, it's not. Because sugar rushes are not real. Yep, science has investigated this, to crispy, and multiple, well-controlled studies have found that sugar does not cause hyperactivity in children or adults. That's right, your toddler isn't turning into a gremlin because of glucose. They're just excited, possibly overstimulated, or just 5 years old. So where did this idea come from? Probably a mix of bad timing and wishful blame. Kids eat sugar during fun events, parties, holidays, Halloween, and then they act wild. Naturally, parents link the two, but it's not the sugar doing it, it's the context. The noise, the games, the chaos, the overstimulation, all of that creates the perfect storm for kid energy, even more wild. In placebo-controlled experiments, parents were told their kid had eaten sugar even when it was just an artificially sweetened drink. Those parents still reported hyperactivity, extra crispy. That's right. The belief in the sugar rush was so strong, it rewired the parents' perception of their kid's behavior. So next time your niece starts turning cartwheels after cake, maybe it's not the frosting. Maybe she was already planning to launch herself into orbit, and the cupcake just gave her a delicious excuse. Moral of the story, don't blame sugar for your kid's zoomies. Blame recess, attention-seeking, or the existential chaos of childhood. Number 1. The competence trap. Let's wrap this up with one of the most dangerous, enduring psychological misfires of them all. The idea that if someone sounds confident, they must know what they're talking about. Spoiler alert, they often do not. We humans are deeply susceptible to equating confidence with competence. This is why people get hired, elected, or followed just because they speak with swagger and a firm handshake. And it's also how the world ends up with pyramid schemes, bad bosses, and way too many podcast bros giving alpha advice on YouTube. Psychologically, this is related to the Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias where people with low ability overestimate their skills, while genuinely skilled people often underestimate themselves. Basically, the less you know, crispy, the more likely you are to strut around like you invented knowledge itself. Meanwhile, actual experts, they're often full of, well, it's complicated, and there are some nuances, because they understand the complexity. And unfortunately, those careful caveats often come across as less confident, even though they're more accurate. Confidence isn't bad. It can be motivating, inspiring, and persuasive. But when it becomes a substitute for substance, you end up with decisions made by vibes, not facts. So the next time someone sounds very sure of themselves, in a meeting, on stage, or in a comment thread, take a breath. Ask for receipts. And remember, loud does not equal smart. Your brain may love shortcuts, but blind trust in swagger, that's a shortcut to disaster. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.